Welcome back. Today it is UX design. You're in the right place.
You know, it's funny because we often don't realize how much UX design impacts our daily lives.
Yeah.
Like from the simplest app to a complex virtual reality experience, it's about making technology work for us.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
It's true.
Yeah, it really highlights that good design is not just a nice to have, it's a business imperative. Think about companies like Apple, known for their intuitive products, or Airbnb, which revolutionized the travel experience through user-centric design.
Right.
They've seen massive success partly due to their focus on UX.
Okay, that makes sense. But before we go any further, let's just make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
What is UX design?
Yeah, absolutely. So at its core, UX design is about crafting experiences that are both functional and enjoyable for the user. It's about understanding their needs, their journey through a product or service, and ensuring every interaction feels intuitive and meaningful.
Like when you use an app and everything just clicks.
Exactly. It's about minimizing frustration and creating that seamless flow.
Yeah.
But there's often confusion between UX and UI. While UI focuses on visual elements like layout, color, typography, UX is broader.
Yeah.
UI is like the icing on the cake. UX is the whole recipe, making sure it tastes good and is baked to perfection.
So you can have a cake that looks beautiful but tastes terrible.
Precisely. A stunning visual interface can't make up for poor functionality or confusing user journey. Let's take the example of a mobile banking app. A UI designer would ensure the buttons are visually appealing, the fonts are legible, and the layout is aesthetically pleasing. But the UX designer is thinking about the whole experience. Can you easily navigate between features? Is it simple to transfer money or pay a bill? Does the app make you feel secure and in control of your finances?
It sounds like the UX designer is kind of like an architect, mapping out the user's journey.
That's a great comparison. And this brings us to why UX design is so relevant for you. Imagine attending a meeting where a new product is being pitched.
Okay.
Understanding UX principles can help you evaluate that product's potential. You can ask the right questions,
Right.
anticipate potential usability issues, and even suggest improvements based on your knowledge of user-centered design.
So even if I'm not a designer, knowing about UX can give me a leg up in the business world.
Absolutely. You'll be able to contribute to discussions about customer experience, product development, and even marketing strategies.
Okay, yeah.
In today's tech-driven world, UX is relevant across industries.
It's making me think about all those times I've just abandoned an app because it's too frustrating.
Well, that's a perfect example of why UX matters.
Yeah.
Poorly designed experiences lead to user frustration, abandonment, and ultimately lost business.
Okay, I'm convinced. So how does a UX designer approach a project? What are the steps involved?
It all starts with understanding the user, and
Yep.
that's where the design thinking process comes in. It's a human-centered approach to problem solving,
Yeah.
and it's widely used in the UX world. The process begins with empathizing with the user.
Empathizing. That sounds a bit touchy-feely.
It might sound that way, but it's crucial. Before you can design a solution, you need to deeply understand the problem you're trying to solve.
Okay.
And that means understanding the people who are experiencing that problem.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does this empathy thing work in practice?
So let's say we're designing that mobile grocery app we talked about.
Okay.
To empathize with the users, we'd start by conducting user research. We could interview people who frequently order groceries online, asking about their experiences with existing apps, their frustrations, their needs, their preferences.
So you're getting into the minds of the users.
Exactly. We might even observe users interacting with those grocery apps, noting any areas where they seem to struggle or get confused. This gives us valuable insights into user behavior and helps us identify areas for improvement.
Like being a detective, looking for clues.
I like that analogy. We're gathering evidence to build a comprehensive picture of the user's needs and pain points.
Okay.
We might also conduct surveys to reach a larger audience and gather quantitative data about user preferences.
So it's a mix of both qualitative and quantitative.
Precisely. This research phase is the foundation of good UX design. It informs every decision we make moving forward.
This is fascinating. So what's the next step?
After empathizing with the user, we move on to defining the problem. We take all those insights from our research and synthesize them into a clear problem statement.
Wait, before we jump into problem solving, let's take a quick pause here.
Okay.
We'll come back and unpack this design thinking process in more detail. I'm already getting so many ideas.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back, and we're going to dig a little deeper into this design thinking process.
Yeah.
Sounds really powerful.
It is. So we left off talking about defining the problem. That's the second stage. Remember the mobile grocery app example? We might define the problem as users find it difficult to navigate existing grocery apps, and they often get frustrated with the checkout process.
Okay, so it's not just stating the obvious. It's about drilling down into what's making it hard to use.
Exactly. And once we have a clear problem statement, then we can move on to the third stage, ideation. This is where the creativity really comes in.
Ooh, ideation.
Yeah. We brainstorm potential solutions, thinking outside the box, exploring a wide range of possibilities.
Just throwing ideas out there.
Exactly. We encourage wild ideas at this stage. You never know where the next breakthrough solution might come from. We might sketch out ideas on whiteboards, use sticky notes, or even build rough prototypes to visualize these potential solutions.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this process really encourages collaboration, out-of-the-box thinking.
Yeah. It's all about fostering that creative energy and exploring those different approaches. And then we move on to the fourth stage, prototyping.
This is where the wireframes and stuff come in, right?
Exactly. We take some of those ideas from ideation and create tangible representations of the solutions. Remember, wireframes are like blueprints. They show the layout and structure, and prototypes are more interactive. They let users click through, experience the flow.
So the prototype is like a test version.
You got it. Prototypes are super valuable tools for getting feedback from users and iterating on the design, which brings us to the fifth and final stage, testing.
This is where you put it in front of people.
Exactly. We recruit representative users, give them tasks to complete within the prototype, and observe their behavior. We take notes on where they get stuck, what's confusing, what they enjoy. We might ask them to think aloud as they use the prototype, explaining their thought process.
So like a scientific experiment.
That's a great way to put it. And then, based on the feedback we gather, we go back and refine the designs. We make adjustments to address those usability issues.
It's a lot of back and forth, isn't it?
Absolutely. The design thinking process is iterative. We go through multiple rounds of prototyping and testing until we have a design that meets the user's needs.
It's making me think about my own experience using apps and websites.
Right.
And you start to notice the details that make something good or bad.
That's the power of understanding UX design. Once you start paying attention, you can't help but see it everywhere. You can appreciate those who clearly designed with the user in mind.
Yeah, this is definitely making me a more informed user. Okay, so let's talk about the people behind these designs. What does a UX designer actually do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, no day is really the same. It's multifaceted. It involves research, design, communication, collaboration.
I bet it varies a lot.
A lot. A UX designer might spend one day conducting user interviews, another sketching wireframes, another collaborating with developers.
So it's not just sitting at a computer all day.
Definitely not. It's highly collaborative. You need strong communication skills, problem-solving abilities, and a deep understanding of user needs.
Seems like a good mix of creative and analytical.
It is. And the beauty is there are so many paths you can take within the field. Some UX designers specialize in user research, others in interaction design, visual design.
So there's something for everyone.
Absolutely. And we're seeing new specializations emerge all the time, particularly in areas like voice UI, augmented reality, virtual reality.
It's a pretty exciting time to be in the field then.
It is. And if you're thinking about exploring UX design, there are so many paths.
One thing that came up in our research was the T-shaped UX designer.
What is that?
Oh, that's a great question. It's a way of describing the ideal skill set.
Okay, what does the T stand for?
So the vertical line of the T represents depth of knowledge in a particular area, like user research, interaction design, or visual design. This is their specialization, where they have deep expertise.
So that's like their core strength. Exactly. But a T-shaped UX designer also has a broad understanding of all areas of UX design. That's the horizontal line. They might not be experts in everything, but they have a working knowledge and can collaborate with other specialists.
So like a jack of all trades.
Yeah, good analogy. This T-shaped skill set is super valuable because it allows designers to be versatile and adaptable.
So you don't necessarily need a traditional design degree to become a UX designer.
That's right. Lots of successful UX professionals come from backgrounds like psychology, computer science, marketing, or even customer service.
Wow. So what are those key skills that might make someone a good fit?
Strong communication skills are key because designers need to articulate their ideas, present designs, and collaborate. Problem solving is another big one. UX design is all about finding solutions to user needs and pain points.
And empathy, right? We talk about how important that is.
It's fundamental. They need to understand users' perspectives, motivations, and frustrations.
It sounds like a field that attracts people who are just naturally curious about human behavior.
Absolutely, and passionate about making technology more human-centered.
I bet a lot of people are listening and thinking, how do I actually break into this field? What advice would you give?
Well, one of the most important things is to start building your skills and experience. There are excellent online courses and boot camps. They can provide a solid foundation in UX design principles.
What about a portfolio?
Essential. Even if you don't have formal work experience, you can start building one by taking on personal projects, volunteering your skills, redesigning existing websites as practice.
So it's about taking initiative.
Precisely. Don't be afraid to reach out to established UX professionals for advice or mentorship. Many are happy to share insights and guide those starting out.
The community sounds pretty welcoming.
Very much so. There's a strong spirit of collaboration and knowledge sharing.
That's great. Okay, so before we get too carried away with dreams of launching a career, let's talk about some of the tools and resources that are essential for UX designers.
Okay, yeah. Having the right tools can make a big difference.
What are some must-haves?
For wireframing and prototyping, Figma, Sketch, Adobe XD. These let you create those visual representations of interfaces, simulate interactions.
So they're like digital canvases.
Exactly. And for user research, user testing, maze, look back. These allow you to conduct remote testing, get feedback, and analyze user behavior.
Like a virtual lab.
Precisely. And of course, communication and collaboration. Slack, Asana, Trello. These help teams stay organized.
Right. It's amazing how technology is enabling UX designers to collaborate from anywhere.
It's a game changer. And the best part is many of these tools offer free trials or freemium plans, so you can experiment and learn.
That's great. So we've talked about the process, the skills, the tools, anything else essential for success in the UX field.
Well, one of the most important things is to stay curious and keep learning. The field is constantly evolving.
It never stops.
Never. Successful designers are lifelong learners. They attend conferences, read blogs, experiment with new tools, and constantly look for opportunities to grow.
It sounds like a field that rewards passion.
It does, and I think that's what makes it so dynamic and rewarding.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the basics of UX design to the design thinking process, career paths, and essential tools. It's been a deep dive.
It has.
So I want to bring it back to our listener. What does all this mean for you? How can you apply these insights?
That's a great question. I think the main takeaway is UX design is all around us. It's not just about apps and websites. It's about every interaction we have with the world.
So once you start paying attention, you see it everywhere.
Exactly. By understanding the principles of UX design, you can become a more conscious consumer, a more effective communicator, and even a more innovative problem solver.
I love that. It's not just about designing products. It's about designing better experiences in our lives.
Precisely. And I encourage you to think critically about the products and services you use every day. How could their UX be improved? What would you change to make them more user-friendly and enjoyable?
That's a good challenge. It's like turning everyone into a mini UX designer.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe this has sparked a new passion. Maybe you'll decide to explore the world of UX design further, take a free online course, or consider a career switch.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
But we're going to do a quick pause here before we wrap up this deep dive. The idea that good UX isn't just about making things easy to use, it's also about creating a positive emotional experience.
Yeah, that's really important. Think about a time you used a website, maybe an app, that just felt joyful to use. Maybe it was smooth animations or like playful micro interactions or even just clear, concise language.
Yeah, it's like the difference between like a chore and a delight. Right? When something's designed well, it can actually make you feel more positive.
For sure, and those positive emotions can have a ripple effect. They can influence how we see a brand or a product.
It makes me think about companies that really get it right.
Yeah.
You know, like Spotify personalizing music or Duolingo, making language learning fun. Keep coming back for more.
They've mastered that blend of functionality with delight.
Yeah.
Those experiences are useful and enjoyable.
So UX design is about more than just making usable products. It's about crafting these experiences that connect with us on an emotional level.
You got it. That's what makes this field so exciting. We have the opportunity to shape how people interact with technology.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone who, you know, they're listening and they're like, I want to do this. Where should they start?
Start by immersing yourself in the community.
Okay.
There are so many online communities, forums, blogs where you can connect with other UX professionals, learn from them, get inspired.
Find your tribe.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions, share your work, and get feedback. The community is really supportive.
What about books or like online courses? Any recommendations?
For books, there's a classic called Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, a practical guide to usability. And for a hands-on approach, there are great online courses.
Yeah.
Coursera, Udemy, Interaction Design Foundation, they have a bunch of UX courses from beginner to advanced.
Cool. So there's really something out there for everyone.
Totally. And many courses have practical exercises, projects, so you can start building that portfolio.
It sounds like it's a great time to be in UX design.
It is. The demand for UX professionals will only grow.
Well, awesome. Huge thank you to our expert for sharing these insights, for giving us a glimpse into this world.
It was my pleasure.
And all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've learned something new, maybe even sparked some inspiration to explore UX design further.